What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another tutorial. This is part 2 out of my 3-part series where I basically go over the basics of Onshape. The first video I focused on different sketch and like all the different features you can do in a sketch, and today I'm going to be focusing on the different things you can do in a part studio. So a part studio is where you actually turn those sketches into the objects or the physical things that you actually want to make. So I've created a bunch of these examples, and we're going to go through them in this video. So the first and most common in the part studios is going to be your extrude, sorry. So you're obviously going to have your sketch, and you can use your extrude to turn these sketches into the physical 3D models that you can either print on your printer or do whatever you want with. So there's some settings in here that you kind of have to understand, so I'm just going to go over them really quick. So first it says to select the face you want to extrude, so I'll select this face. Then you have 3 options at the top. You have solid, surface, and thin. So we're going to start with solid. Solid, you can choose blind, up to face, next. You can just experiment with those. You can change the direction, change the depth. You can make it so it's symmetric, which is pretty helpful. But yeah, it's pretty simple. So as you can see, I have it set to new right now, which means it's creating a new part. If you're doing a sketch on top of a pre-existing part, you can change it to add, or if you want to remove it from a part, you can choose remove, but we're going to keep it on new. The second option is going to be your surface. So a surface, instead of just extruding this whole circle, you're just extruding this outer surface, which is good if you want to do some surface modeling or stuff like that. It has basically the same settings. And the final one is thin. So this is where you can choose just how thick it is. So you can see I can make this on 0.1, direction 1, 0.1, direction 2, 0.1. So you can see you could change this, and again you have the add, remove, all those same commands. So extrude, very helpful. Shift E on the keyboard, probably the one you're going to use most of the time, and is probably, or is the most useful. Next up, you got revolve. So I just created this little sketch here, and how the revolve works is it revolves a sketch around an axis. So first it says to choose your face, and now we have to choose our revolve axis. And just like that, we have a revolve axis. Now we can either change it to new, remove. You're going to notice for a lot of these it's going to have these same settings. But yeah, I'm just going to keep it on new for now. And then you could change it to surface. So surface again means you're only extruding the surface. So if we look at it in a section view, you can see that the inside is hollow, which is kind of cool. And yeah, so revolve is pretty useful. I use it a lot. Okay, the next tool is going to be sweep. So that is going to be just this tool right here. First, you choose your face and you choose your sweep path. And it basically just follows the sweep path with the shape. It's very cool. You could twist it, but since mine doesn't have good geometry, I can't really twist mine. But you could also make it a surface. Say if you want to do a surface extrude, you can again do a surface, and then you can do thin. Yeah, pretty useful. Nothing much really to it though. Loft. Now this one is a little bit more complicated. So for a loft, you want to have a sketch on one plane and then a sketch on another plane, and it is going to bring the one plane and kind of merge it into this other sketch. So you can see what is happening here is I selected both of them and it brings it up. But say I don't like this shape that it's in right now, you can add what's called guides and continuity, which basically is just another sketch that will give it the shape. So now I can go onto my loft, choose yep, and then choose my 2 guides. So I'm going to choose this one and this one. So now you can see you can kind of mess around with that to create a bunch of different shapes depending on how you are or depending on how you want it to be made. Okay, next tool, we got thicken. Thicken is very simple but very useful. It's kind of like the thin command, but it is just on its own. So you first choose your face or your surface or whatever, and all it does is it simply thickens the face. Now you can choose your direction or how much you want to thicken it. You can add, remove. Very simple to use. If you wanted, what you could do is you could make it something like this, say you had like an object like this, and then you could thicken this object. Whoops, thicken this object, and you can make it thicker or thinner. Yeah, very helpful. Very helpful for non-super organic shapes. I mean, non-like super squares or triangles, more organic shapes. This could be useful. Next up, we got fillet. Fillet is super good for making your models look clean and finished. You have to Shift F on your keyboard, and you just basically just choose the lines or edges you want the fillet to apply to. So I choose this. And you can see now it looks nice and finished. You can obviously adjust how much you want filleted. And yeah, it's just a really good way to give it a nice and clean finish. I normally just stay in radiuses, and I like to use the distance command. But you'll notice there's another option at the top. It's called the full round. So it asks you to choose your first side, your second side, and then your face to round. So we'll choose this face. And it just makes it so it's smooth, like fully round, which could be useful. Okay, getting into it is going to be the chamfer. Now the chamfer is very, very similar to the fillet. All it does is give you angled things instead of fully straight, fully curved edges. So if you need some angled edges, and then you can add some curved edges, very, very helpful. Next, you got your draft. So with your draft, it asks you for a neutral plane. So I like to just pick the bottom plane, and then it'll say entities to draft. And as you can see, if I pull it this way, it removes it. Pull it this way, it adds. Sometimes you have to mess around with it a little bit. So say I wanted to make it the other way, I could change my neutral plane. Now it is pulling away this way and pulling in this way. So pretty helpful. I like using this tool a lot. Moving on, rib is a little bit more complicated than normal. So where a rib is good is, say I wanted to create a connection point between this and this point right here. And say that there was, here, let me actually just add a hole in the middle of this so that it's a little bit more realistic. Extrude, remove, solid, remove this one, and pull it through. Beautiful. So say I wanted to somehow connect these two parts, like create a connection point to secure them. And if I tried to just do like a regular extrude and I extruded it up, then it would be interfering with this middle part here, and that would be no good. So what a rib allows you to do is completely avoid that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a sketch, and we're going to use our project tool, and we're going to project this geometry here. Now we could actually just come to this point right here and choose our fix command, fix that, fix that. Beautiful. Now what we can do is we can create our rib guideline. So say we want this to be our rib guideline. We can click on check. Now we're going to choose our rib tool. And for some of these tools, depending on your device size, they might be hidden under one of these drop down arrows, but you should be able to find it. So it says choose your sketch profile. We're going to choose the sketch profile. It automatically chooses this part, and you can very easily change how much or how wide you want it to be. So as you can see, it doesn't interfere with this inner part, but it follows the curvature of this curve. Now this doesn't have to be a straight line. You could change it to be, say you wanted it to be a little S thing. I don't actually know if this will work. Yeah, it will work. You could change it to be something like this, or really whatever you want, but it's a very good tool. I just started using it recently, and it's very helpful. The next tool is going to be the shell tool. Now the shell is super easy. Choose the face you want to remove. It creates almost like a bin, and you can choose how much you want. So this means that there is going to be a 0.2 inch gap all along the side, even at the bottom. So it creates like a little bin, very useful. If you want, you could choose the hollow, which basically all it does is it makes it so the inside is now hollow. So you look in the inside, it has a hollow inside. So also pretty useful. Now moving on to hole. Hole is one of the more complicated ones. Well, it's not really complicated in and of itself, but it has a lot of complicated, different settings you can change. which could make it complicated. So all you do for a hole is you create a sketch and you put these little points. You put a point on here. And then what you do is you come over to your hole command and you choose some of these little points. And you can basically change so many settings. Change what kind of hole you want, the size, the distance, the depth, everything. Everything can be changed. And they just are very good for whether you want to make a screw hole, a countersink hole, anything like that. It just makes it way easier to do. So I'm not really going to get too much into all the settings. You can kind of explore them for yourself, but that's just a kind of general guide. Next up, we got a linear pattern. So I'm going to choose for a linear pattern, it asks you to choose a part. Now a part can be created. So, okay, let me just quickly explain this to you. So a part is something that's connected. So say I make another square over here and I extrude that, then now I have two parts. This is part one, this is part two. But if I got rid of this one, there would only be this one part. So it's going to say linear pattern is going to ask me for my parts I want to do. So I want to do both of these parts. And it's going to ask me for a direction. I'll say this direction. We'll say 10 inches and we'll want to repeat it 3 times. Now this looks very good. But say we want a second direction, we could make it start going this way every 5 inches and make it 2. So yeah, just like that, you can see how this could save you a lot of time in the long run and just be very beneficial. Next up, we got a circular pattern, very similar to the other one. You choose what part you want to do and you have to find an axis for this one. So this one requires an axis. So you could simply create a lineup and that could be used as your axis. You're going to select your part, select your axis, and you are good to go. And there's a bunch of settings you can change in that one as well, but they're all pretty self-explanatory. Next up, we got transform. This is also super easy. You choose your part. Now you can translate it by line, distance, XYZ, scale. I like to translate it by XYZ. It allows me to move it freely throughout the document, and this is very helpful. And then the other thing I like to use is the scale. So this is if I need it to be bigger or smaller. It's going to ask for a make connector. I normally just choose the origin, and you can see how it gets bigger the more I change it. Very useful. Plane. So standard Onshape Part Studio comes with these 3 planes. You got your front, your right, and your top plane. Now, say you wanted to make something that is in relation to the top plane way higher. You could simply do that by clicking on the plane tool and then choosing where you want to offset from. So I'm going to offset from this plane. And I could create it all the way up here. Now I could create a sketch up here, do a bunch of stuff, and then, yeah. It's very helpful. Now you have some other different settings you could do, like if you want to do a line angle, if you wanted to plane on an angle or a plane point. All of these are helpful if you want to change exactly how the plane is. I normally just choose the offset command and then offset it a certain amount of distance, but which normally works pretty good for me. Next up, we got helix. Now, helix is really good when you want to make those pass-through fidgets or a screw or something like that. Helix, you need a cylindrical face. So now this could be an extruded face or it could be a surface face. Both of these work. And you just basically choose your helix, conical or cylindrical face, click on it, and you have all these settings. So whether you want to see 1 rotation, 2 rotations, 10 rotations, you can easily change that. You can change the start angle, the height, anything, yeah. So then what you can do is you can hide your surface, and now you just have your helix sitting in space. So you could use this whether you wanted to create a screw, and yeah, you could use this as a sweep path. So let me just quickly show you one of the common applications for this. So I'm just going to create a little sketch right here, right on the end of this. And now I'm going to choose a sweep, and I'm going to choose this, and I'm sweep path, and I'm going to sweep it around here. So now I got this little helix thing, which is kind of cool. Very, 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 very cool. Projected curve. Now, this one looks like it would be impossible to make in CAD software, but it is very possible. First thing you do, create your sketch on here. Second thing, create your second sketch on another plane. And what this projected curve does, like magic, You might have to find it under one of these things. Where is it? Projected curve. You want to choose your first sketch, your second sketch, and boom, it creates your projected curve. Now, you can't really do much with this, but you could choose to fill it in, which basically helps you create it into an actual part that you could print out. So where's my fill command? Let me just find it here. Fill right here, and you could choose to fill it. And just like that, you have that. Now what you wanted to, if you could thicken this, and now you have a part that you could print out, which may have seemed impossible to make initially. Going on to the next one, the composite curve. This one's not a lot of explaining. You have a complex curve, and what the composite curve basically does is it simplifies the curve to make it so that it makes sense in the slicer. It kind of just makes your curve smoother. That's kind of how you could think of it. Then you got your mutual trim. So your mutual trim consists of creating a sketch, extruding it surface-wise, creating another sketch, extruding it surface-wise, and now you have these two surfaces that you want to be able to interact with each other. And that's where where is it now? Some of these are kind of hard to find. Mutual trim comes in. So you choose your first surface, your second surface, and as you can see, it trims them together. Now you could change which one you click first and second, and that'll change how it ends up looking. But yeah, it's very, very helpful. Actually, to be honest, it's not that helpful. I don't really use it that much, but it can be helpful. Next, you got your boolean. So as we learned earlier, we got our parts. So you can see that they're different down here. So you got your part 1, part 2, part 3. And our boolean tool allows us to combine parts together. So this, since they're all intersecting, we could simply click on check. What happened here? Redo that. Click on boolean and choose our parts to intersect. And we can click on check. This is weird. I've never had this happen to me before. Let me just try to delete this all. Let me try to show you guys what the boolean tool does. I've never had that happen. That was weird. So we're going to sketch on here, create a circle and another circle. And if we extrude this one and this one, and we click on new, sorry, I'm just going to show you guys exactly how it works. We extrude this, new. Okay, so as you can see, we have these 3 separate parts, but they're connecting, obviously. So we could easily use the boolean tool and click check. My Onshape's being glitchy right now, which is kind of annoying. Maybe if I try refreshing. Okay, well, I'm obviously not a pro. For some reason, boolean isn't working. Maybe they updated boolean. Okay, I'm not really sure why it's not getting rid of the original ones. But this is what it should look like. For some reason, it kept these other parts, which is kind of weird. You can just delete them. Yeah, boolean is very useful. I love it a lot. I don't know why it's not working right now. Derived. Now, derived is a great when you want to reference stuff from another part studio. Because as you can see, you might end up creating a lot of part studios. And it can get confusing going back and forth between them. So this is where the derived tool comes in. It is very good for helping you create something that works together. So if you have multiple moving parts that all need to work together in a certain way, you need to make sure everything fits, everything like that, you can use the derive tool. Now the derive tool, you can first select where you want to import it from. So say I want to import this revolve I made from earlier. I can easily import it, and now I can use it as reference, whether I want to create a new sketch and use it as a projection, as a projection or something like that. But yeah, it's helpful. I would say it's very helpful. You could also derive from another document. So whether that's something owned by you or owned by someone else, you can derive from another document. So you could reference other things you've made in the past if you need to. Okay, next we got the mate connector. Now a mate connector, I'm going to go over this more in the third and final part of this kind of series, where I'm basically going to show you where these mate connectors come into play. But a mate connector short and sweet, it allows you to add different connection points to a part so that when you import them into an assembly, it's probably not going to load because of all the documents I have open, but when you open them to assembly, it allows for these little, kind of like Lego bricks, you could think of it. So these points where they'll snap together. And yeah, it's pretty good. And the last thing I kind of want to show you in here is obviously going to be the, well, maybe not obviously going to be, is going to be the spur gear. So the spur gear is very important when it comes to making things and stuff like that, but I will just show you how to find the spur gear. So what you're going to do, it doesn't come in like basic Onshape, so you have to add it. So you want to search up feature script, and you want to search up spur gear, and it's right here. And now you can just add that, and now at the top here under custom features you'll see the spur gear option. Now I have a whole video where I kind of break down exactly how to work with gears, but just short, you kind of can change the number of teeth, change the depth, and change a bunch of things about it. But yeah, spur gears, very useful. And they might seem very hard to make, but once you find out how to add them in this custom features tab, it's super, super, super simple. So that's going to be the main things you need to know about the Part Studio. Obviously, there's a bunch more options. Just some of them are really complicated, and this is a tutorial for beginners. And I wouldn't say that I can't say that I fully understand how to use some of them. Now, even these might seem like a pain to remember, which is why I created this mouse pad. Well, it's more of a desk pad, and on it, it has a bunch of different things that will help you, whether you're new to Onshape or an experienced veteran. So on them you can see the different options they have. They have like the mate connectors. It's basically just like a little kind of reminder as you're going along. So you can see you got your command to use a thing, a little small image, and then a short description. So this is helpful whether you're kind of stuck on how to do something. You can kind of use this. So I have 3 sections. You got your sketch tools, your Part Studio tools, and your assembly tools. So today we went over all the Part Studio tools, and so you should be able to understand all of them that are on here from this video. And in the final part, I'm going to be going over the assembly tools. So if you want to check out that video, I'll probably put it right here, or maybe I won't put it at all. But if you're interested in one of these mouse pads, you can check it out in the description. I would appreciate you guys if you did, but you don't have to. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Bye-bye.